Hey guys, welcome to week 12 Tuesday of AP Calculus. Here is your warm-up. 3 questions. Go ahead and answer them. Pause the video if you need to. So yesterday we talked about related rates over absolute extrema on a interval. And so today, let's go ahead and go over some of the questions over here. I just realized that I need to set this up properly, but that's okay because we're still in the beginning of this, so it should be fairly simple for the most part. Just give me 1 second. Okay, I'm ready now. All right, so looking at this right here. All right, so let's go ahead and find the critical point on this. And in order to find a critical point, you have to go ahead and find y prime set equal to 0 to find a critical point. So y prime equals 2x minus 2 set equal to 0. X equals 1. That is your critical point. Okay. So your critical point is x equals a 1. Now you have a, which is going to be on this interval, -1, 0, 1, 2. Well, because you're only on this interval, lucky for you, your 1 is right here. So you would be able to test -1, f of 1, and f of 2 to find the y value to see which one's the highest and also the lowest. So if you plug this into your calculator, and the way I taught you guys to do this is you could technically just plug it into this equation and evaluate it. But the thing about it is, depending how long your polynomial is, this will actually create some errors, especially if you're not careful with your signs, which would give you the wrong answer. Or it could also be a very long and strenuous polynomial, in which case it will take you a long time. So I taught you guys to make sure with your TI-84 calculators, which you'll be able to use on the test, go to graph, type in y equals x squared minus 2x, and then click on graph. From there, you're going to click on the second calc button and then select value. So basically, once you get to this point, you can type in any x value and hit enter, and it'll give you a y value. So you're going to type in -1, 1, and 2, and automatically you should be able to get the answers from that. So if you did do that, your first answer is a 3, when x is 1. Your answer is a -1, and when x is 2, the y is 0. So then from here, you can see which one has the tallest. Your absolute maximum is going to be at point -1, 3. And your absolute minimum, in this case, is going to be at 1, -1. Now, for B, if the interval is in between, okay, my computer is freaking out right now, which I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, great. Now it's set to work. Okay. If you decide to go ahead and use B, well, because the 1 is not selected, you're only allowed to use anywhere between 1, it cannot equal to 1, 2, and 3. And 3, there is a bracket there. So then in which case you can use f of your critical, well, you can't use your critical point, just kidding. You could do 2 and f of 3. I actually can do 2, sorry. Your 2 is actually not one of the critical points. So just f of 3, okay? So in which case you would actually get a 3, which is gonna be your absolute max at 3, comma 3. Then for C, you have 0 and 2, so you can actually use your critical point f of 1 because that's in between there. So you get a -1, and that is going to be your absolute min at 1 comma -1. And if you take a look at D, you have 1 to 4, so you have f of 1, which is your critical point, and also the endpoint. And that's what you use. You can't use 4. So f of 1, which is going to give you -1, is also your absolute min. And that's a summary of what we learned yesterday. All right, so if you had a little bit of time to practice, I do give you guys some of the textbook assignments, and here are the answers to them. You have the textbook assignments actually in your guided notes. It's copied for you guys, so you don't have to use a textbook. And here's 5, 7, and 6 if you wanted some extra practice. All right, and then we had the calculus puzzle, which basically said, why was Polynomial afraid of finding her second derivative? And the answer is, she thought she would get points of inflection. Haha. I know you're like, I don't get it. What is point of inflection? It's actually the critical point of the second derivative. And it is there, just like how critical points is a test max and min, your point of inflection is a test concavity, whether it's concave up or concave down. All right, so here is the breakdown for today. This is our second day of critical point, max, min, extrema. We're going to go over my notes that's already printed out with examples and review yesterday's steps to find the extrema. I have a poster rotation for you guys to apply this. And you are going to have a guided notes with video that's from your textbook. And you just need to pick a few questions, go through them, and that is it. So with that said, turn over to your notes today. So this is going to be your video guided notes, okay? So you have several questions from the textbook, and you can just go ahead and pick a few questions to go ahead and find the critical points. And if you run or encounter any difficulty, I do have the link of the video that you can either fast forward or you can slow it down. So go ahead and pause the video, take the next 10, 15 minutes and practice with a few of these questions. Okay, so then let's go ahead and go on to the next part of this then. Next, what I wanted to do is, this is my notes on extrema on an interval, and the notes are pretty much typed up for you guys in addition to some of the examples. So take a moment and go ahead and read the guidelines of finding extrema on a closed interval, and then read the examples of examples 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Okay, now let's go ahead and move on to a few of the questions that I have that we can maybe take a look at and select a few more examples to review. Let's take a look at example number 3, okay? So with this one, and you don't have this in your guided notes, so just kind of follow along with me. You're going to go ahead and use the product rule with a chain rule to find the y value and then test it to see if it's on this interval here between -5 and -1. So first thing what I want to do is I want to go ahead and find the derivative of this, which means I will have to go ahead and set it aside. So f equals 3y. F prime is 3. G is y plus 4 to the 2/3. So G prime is 2/3 y plus 4 minus a 3/3, so a -1/3, times the u prime, which is y plus 1. That's just going to give me a 1. If I want to clear this up a little bit, my G prime is going to be equal to 2/3. Bring the parenthesis down to a 1/3, and the 1 doesn't really affect anything. So I'm just going to leave it alone. Next, I'm going to go ahead and apply the quotient rule. So Q prime is equal to F prime times G. And remember, this part does not have the -3/3. So I have a 3 times y plus 4 to the 2/3 plus F times G prime. So that's 3y times 2/3 y plus 4 to the 1/3 equals 0. So I want to clear this up a little bit because ultimately I'm going to try to find x, and as it look, or y, and as it looks right now, that doesn't look very pleasant to find. So my 3 here and the 3 here cancels. So then I will have a 2y over y plus 4 to the 1/3. And the left side, 3 times y plus 4 to the 2/3. I think it would be good to maybe combine like terms. So, or at least have a common denominator. So I know I have a 1 down here, so I need to multiply by a y plus 4 to the 1/3 on the bottom, and y plus 4 to the 1/3 on top, because essentially I'm just multiplying by 1. And then what ends up happening is I have a 3 still, but then the 2/3 and the 1/3 I added together will give me 3/3, which is just 1. So I have y plus 4 to the 1 power on top over y plus 4 to the 1/3 on the bottom plus 2y equals 0. And I want to go ahead and clean this up a little bit. So I have a distributive property with a 3y plus 12 plus 2y. And if I go ahead and I combine that together, I will have 5y plus 12. And my pen is skipping, which is slightly annoying, but that's okay. Over y plus 4 to the 1/3 equals 0. Okay, so at this point, I am going to, let's see, because I have a 1 here, but if I cross multiply, it wouldn't work because I have the 0 times this entire thing. If I multiply here by y plus 4, let's see. maybe I should keep it separate. Y plus 4 to the 3 over 3. Bring this up, I can do that. I have 3y plus 4. If I bring that up, it's going to be a minus 1 over 3, which is going to be a 2/3 equals 0. Okay, that works. Divided by 3 on both sides, I have y plus 4 to the 2/3 equals 0. Now, to get rid of the 2/3, I would have to go ahead and square root this side. So I have to not square root, cube root this side, and then actually, let's see if I can get that to a 3 over 3. Come on, pen, just work a little bit longer. If I can go ahead and multiply the side by a 3 over 2, because now I get a 6 over 6, which is 1, like this. Then that part cancel. I have a y plus 4 is going to be equal to a 0 to the 3 over 2 is just still 0. Okay, and then y equals -4. There we go. Critical point. Took a lot of work, but we did it. Now, when you look at this right here, is my -4 in between -5 and -1? Heck yes, it is, because here's -5, there's -1, and there's -4. So now what you do, I know that was a lot of work and I'm sorry, you're going to have f to the -5, f to the -4, and f to the -1. So you're going to do the second calc option. Go ahead and plug that into this formula. And then find the highest value, and that will be your absolute max, the lowest value, and that will be your absolute min. All right. Now what I'm going to have you guys do is go ahead and practice a little bit more with this on a poster rotation. So I am going to give you guys a poster rotation, and I'm going to have you guys practice with it at home. Okay, maybe I won't have you guys practice at home because it is not popping up. Having a slight technical difficulties, but that's okay. And actually, you know what? I feel like there is sufficient amount of stuff here that I think we are good with this. Yeah, so you guys actually have a bit of things to practice, so I'm not going to bother with the poster rotation since it is acting a bit difficult with me here. So again, I'm just going to have you guys go ahead and finish practicing with this. Make sure you guys read my notes, my 3 examples, the video guided notes right here. If you need the steps, it is provided for you. Okay, and that is it, you guys. Have a wonderful night, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.